So first we denied the tractor parade. Now it is happening, but it's certainly not disrupting the Republic Day parade. We'll come to that detail in a bit. Namaste ji, namaste. So let us take a look at the very hot issue of the tractor parade, what the farmer unions are up to, what the Union of India is up to in the Supreme Court, and what line of approach is the Supreme Court taking by taking a look at the detailed interim order on the 12th of January 2021 that was delivered by the Supreme Court. And then there is another very short, tiny order in which they said on the 20th of January that we don't wish to basically listen into the application of restraining order filed by the Delhi police and how the police, well, needs to look after the law and order of this union territory. But to even discuss about that issue, the restraining order basically on the farmers to not conduct a tractor parade in Delhi, to discuss that issue, we'll need to first and foremost dissect the order on the 12th of January. Basically, that was delivered on the 12th of January. So if you're taking a LLM entrance this year, by the way, Rakesh Vaishnav versus Union of India, this judgment will be asked. If you're taking a LLB entrance this year, 2021, this judgment's name, or rather, sorry, not the judgment, the case law, because the judgment is not out yet, Rakesh Vaishnav versus Union of India will be asked. The case law name, that is, because we are right now at the interim order stage. Now, let us move on to the next page because every other detail is irrelevant. These numbers are irrelevant. I have removed a couple of pages from the interim order, which is basically detailing out the advocates' names because that's irrelevant for the purposes of our application. So now, applications for impleadment and intervention are allowed. So basically, this is now a positive order. Whatever was being prayed for, some of it has been granted. We have before us three categories of petitions. All right, so the keyword is being three. Now let us look at what sort of category of petitions that are there, and they have clubbed it all together under this case law name, revolving around the validity of otherwise of three laws, namely the Farmers Produce Trade and Commerce Promotion and Facilitation Act 2020. So this is a new act. Obviously, I believe that you would be knowing these the name of these laws by now. Essential Commodities Amendment Act 2020. So an already existing act has been amended. Farmers Empowerment and Protection Agreement on Price Assurance and Farm Services Act 2020. So another new act. So we are talking about their validity. Now, how exactly can the Supreme Court look into the validity of a law? Well, we go to Article 13 and well, you have the power of judicial review available to the Supreme Court if any law passed by the Parliament is ultra vires, or rather known as beyond the powers of the Parliament. The law basically is violating any of the fundamental rights contained in Part 3 of the Constitution, that is Article 12 to Article 35. Well, the Supreme Court will strike it down. All right, that's one of the main functions of the Supreme Court. All right, so they're looking at the validity of these three laws and the protest by farmers against these laws. So we are looking at whether these farmers, the protesters that is, whether they are up to any good or not. That, again, not my opinion. What the Supreme Court is saying, let us just go here. All right. One category of petition challenge the constitutional validity. All right, included within this category is a petition under Article 32. Now, what is Article 32? Article 32 guarantees fundamental rights under Part 3 of the Constitution, and basically asks the Supreme Court, or rather grants them the power for the power of writs to enforce the fundamental rights guaranteed to citizens under Part 3 and to some other foreigners as well, but we are not going to go into those discussions right now because those are irrelevant. Challenging the validity of the Constitution, Third Amendment Act 1954. Third Amendment. So we've gone way back, somewhere in the 1950s, because the First Amendment happened in 51, right? And that's 54, by which entry 33 was substituted in list 3 concurrent list. So at this moment, we'll just come back to these details. Just let us have a look at 33. That says trade and commerce and the production, supply and distribution of the products of any industry, whether control of such industry by the union is declared by Parliament by law to be expedient in the public interest, and imported goods of the same kind as such products. Foodstuffs including edible oil seeds and oil. So basically entire of the core crux of the matter is that Parliament is competent to legislate on these laws as well as the state is. So that is one point of fight, that whether Parliament is competent even to enact on these laws. So now this is item number 33 in list 3. There are 3 lists in 7th schedule. List 1 are basically items or matters on which Parliament has the exclusive jurisdiction to enact laws. List 2 has the state list wherein the parliament will not touch unless there are certain contingencies as enumerated in the constitution. Not going to go there. List 3 is where this item is. So the third amendment brought this basically list, or rather item number in the list, and we have challenged it. We have challenged the amendment altogether, and therefore indirectly we are challenging the parliament's competency to enact a law on these matters. Alright, so in the 7th schedule of the constitution, enabling the central government also to legislate on subject which was otherwise in the state list. Okay. Another category of petitions are those which support the farm laws on the ground that they are constitutionally valid. So there is a batch of petitions that is actually supporting these laws. So it's not, it's not gloomy and dark in the Supreme Court that everyone's just there and just strike these laws down. There are a number of parties who are supporting the farm laws. Therefore, we have to see who these guys are and what are their arguments. The third category of petitions, those filed by individuals who are residents of the National Capital Territory of Delhi as well as the neighboring states. So basically we have 19(1)(d), that is 19 clause 1 subclause D under the Constitution of India part 3, that guarantees basically that you can move freely throughout the territory of India, and 91 clause G, which again guarantees to the citizen, subject to obviously reasonable restrictions, on clause 2 that was brought in by the first amendment, guarantees that you will be able to carry out any trade profession of your choice. And these protests, because they are blocking out the borders, so the residents, some residents, whoever these are in the petitions, I'm not going to go into the specific name of the parties, etc., they are saying, I'm not being allowed, it's violating my fundamental right as well. So I'm not being allowed to move freely throughout the territory of India. If I need to go to Punjab right now, if I want to come back from Punjab to Delhi, I cannot do so. I have to take long detours first. Second, then I cannot even carry out my trade. So for example, small businessmen in that area, maybe they are affected. So three categories. One is challenging the constitutional validity, including the validity of the Third Amendment Act first. Second, they're supporting it. Third are residents who say, well, if you have your fundamental right to protest, I have my fundamental right under 91 clause D, 91 clause G as well to carry out my trade and to move through freely throughout the territory of India. So this is 33. We have already seen this. Let us have a look at Article 246 basically. So 246 says, again, Parliament has exclusive power to make laws with respect to any matters enumerated in list 1 of the 7th schedule, as I told you earlier, notwithstanding anything in clause 3. So this is a non-obstante clause, that is what it's legally known as. Parliament, subject to clause 1, the legislature of any state also have powers to make laws with respect to any of the matters enumerated in list 3. That is known as the concurrent list, wherein this item number 33 is now present thanks to the Third Amendment. So the core crux or the very basis of this item being placed in concurrent list is being challenged. Because if वो item ही नहीं रहा, if the Supreme Court declares the Third Amendment as basically as void, well then the Parliament cannot legislate on that matter. So all laws automatically they become ultra vires and they will be basically thrown out of the window. Chance उसके बहुत कम है, but ठीक है, this is pretty much that is what the argument really is also. I mean, what else will the lawyer argue? So this is one line of approach to argue it. So as I said, right, to carry on trade and business now, let's forget that and let's move on to the core argument or the line of approach that the Supreme Court is taking. So the situation on the ground is that senior citizens, women and children are at the site, exposing themselves to, well, basically hazardous or ill health by cold and COVID. So Supreme Court is concerned about senior citizens, women and children. So that is point number 1, all right, keep this in mind. And that their deaths have taken place, though not out of any violence. So the Supreme Court is actually appreciative of the fact that there is no, hanky-panky, shady stuff going on, that there is an absolute amount of violence that is taking place. Because if that were the case, this order would look completely different. So the well done and kudos to the farmers for keeping it all civil and peaceful. Because if it weren't the case, mind you, they would be asked to leave or ordered to leave, but either out by illness or by way of suicide. Okay, laudably, as I said, the farmers have so far carried on the agitation peacefully. Therefore, even the union leaders there are hell-bent on keeping this protest peaceful, because this is the only way that the Supreme Court actually starts to come in their favor, all right, a bit at least. But it was pointed out in the course of hearing that a few persons who are not farmers have also joined with a view to show solidarity All right. And apprehension was expressed that the possibility of some persons creating trouble cannot be entirely ruled out, which I believe is common sense, right? So all of we are going on that line. And there is an intervention application also filed by one Indian Kisan Union, that an organization by the name of Sikhs for Justice. So the Sikhs for Justice, which is banned for anti-India secessionist movement, is financing the agitation. This movement is supported by the learned Attorney General also. So technically speaking, the Union of India is saying, well, the Sikhs for Justice, so there is some very shady amount of financing and funding going on for the protests, and the Union of India is going on recording while saying this, all right. And the intervention application is filed by one union also, that these guys, the pretty much the Sikhs for Justice may just be Khalistanis. Now, again, not my opinion. It's on record in the Supreme Court. And it's already a banned organization. They are financing the agitation. Okay. Now we have the usual characters of Dushyant Dave and Dave, or Dave, I believe, whatever the pronunciation is, and Prashant Bhushan to represent their cause, because every time such a protest is there, these two guys have to be there. Then Sri K.K. Venugopal, who's our learned Attorney General, submitted that there are reports that the farmer bodies may take out a tractor rally on January 26, 2021. Now, mind you, now herein starts the fun bit. Disrupting the Republic Day parade and celebration, the same was stoutly denied by. So first and foremost, it was denied in the Supreme Court, Dushyant Dave, learned senior counsel, on the ground that at least one member of the family of each of the farmers from Punjab is in the army and that they would not disrupt the Republic Day celebrations. However, today this team of lawyers is absent. So first we denied the tractor parade. Now it is happening, but it's certainly not disrupting the Republic Day parade. We'll come to that detail in a bit after we have analyzed what is going on here. Be that as it may be, the negotiation between the farmer bodies and the government have not yet yielded any results so far, the Supreme Court says. Therefore, we are of the view that a committee is going to help this. So, committee of experts in the field of agriculture to negotiate between who? The farmers' bodies and the government of India, may create a congenial atmosphere and improve the trust and confidence of the farmer. Great. We are also of the view that a stay of implementation of all the three laws for the present will help improve the situation. Now, I'm not going to read out word for word to word from here. So basically, the Supreme Court has already told you what it wants to do. Now, herein, the learned Attorney General has said, well, you don't have any bloody power to stay the laws, right? So he's also quoted out the case law. It's Bhavesh Parish and others versus Union of India. If you are taking the CLAT PG in 2021, read the ratio of this judgment beforehand. They just may quote the ratio and then they can ask you 5 to 7 MCQs associated with that. Health for Millions versus Union of India, State of UP versus Hirendrapal Singh, and Siliguri Municipality versus Amalendra Das and others. These are not very commonly quoted case laws, I believe, in constitutional law. But any which way, since they have appeared here for the CLAT PG, have a read at their ratios. No need to read the entire judgment. Obviously, just read what it's about, etc. But go to the ratio and just read it once. Contended that the court should not stay of the implementation of the laws. He argued that none of the petitioners who have attacked farm laws have pointed out any single provision which is detrimental to the farmer. So basically, you really haven't said that the laws are ultra-vires, they're beyond the power of the parliament, they are unconstitutional. So what exactly is the Supreme Court doing here? So Supreme Court is saying, well, or rather the argument of the learned Attorney General is, if ex facie, not acts, it's ex facie, that is basically on the face of it, without any further investigation that the document or the laws look defective, then only can you stay them. Otherwise, you really don't have any power, right? That's what the argument is. And there is a presumption in favor of the constitutionality of legislation. That means all laws passed by Parliament are constitutional till the time that they're struck down by the Supreme Court. Since these laws have not been struck down by the Supreme Court, and since the farmer unions, etc., they really, they've not pointed out even a single provision that is saying that, oh, this violates my fundamental rights under the Constitution, this is ultra-vires, this, that. So they have not done anything. That is what the Attorney General is saying. So why is the Supreme Court interfering like this? Now, though we appreciate the aforesaid submission of the learned Attorney General, This court cannot be said to be completely powerless to grant stay of any executive action under a statutory enactment. Any executive action, usually taken in the name of the president, the nominal executive of the state is the president, the real is PM and COM, because president pretty much has no discretion in most matters and is bound by the advice of the COM. All right, so under a statutory enactment, that's an act, right? Even very recently, this court passed an interim order in Dr. Jayashree Lakshman Rao Patil versus the Chief Minister, taking the LLM entrance in 2021. Read the ratio of this judgment as well. Or rather, it's, I think, passed an interim order, so read the case law, basically. Directing that admissions to education institution for the academic year 2021 and appointments in public service and posts under the government shall be made without reference to the reservation provided under the impugned legislation. So they said we have done something similar already. Read the interim order in this case law. All right. As a matter of fact, some of the farmer bodies who are opposing the farm laws and who are represented before us, so the council have agreed to go before the committee. So now this paragraph basically saying that, we will go before this committee, and they have assured that elders, women and children will be dissuaded from being there at the site of the protest. Okay. So basically the Supreme Court's, the concerns are being taken care of. Now, everyone's basically appearing before the committee. Now, see the interesting bit. So Mr. Sridhar Pottaraju, Learned Counsel appearing for the Consortium of Indian Farmers Associations. So there's a body called CIFA, that is CIFA. That his client represents 15 farmer unions across 15 states, and they will be badly affected if a stay of the implementation of the farm laws is ordered. So they are praying, please do not, because they must have, gotten orders under the new farm laws. And they are saying that there are 21 million tons of fruits and vegetables will rot if anything is done at this stage. So they are saying, please, do not stay the laws. Insofar as the apprehension regarding MSP, that is minimum support price, being done away with, it is submitted across the bar that the same may not be dismantled, which the Attorney General also said that there are inherent safeguards and inbuilt in the farm laws for the protection of the land. So basically nobody's going to lose their title of land, and MSP is not going to go away. Having heard different perspectives, we deem it fit to pass the following interim order. Okay, that they are staying the farm laws. This is what it basically says. They are staying all the farm laws, the 3 ones, and the farm laws, the MSP shall be maintained until further orders. No farmer basically will have, or their title will be affected. So they made a committee of these 4 personalities. The first one is already recused. That is Sri Bhupinder Singh Maan has already said that I'm not going to be a part of this committee. Again, for any high level law entrance, write down the 4 names, will help you out in current affairs. So Sri Bhupinder Singh Maan, Dr. Pramod Kumar Joshi, Sri Ashok Gulati, and Sri Anil Ghanwat. Now, as usual, expenses of the committee will be borne by the central government, because as usual, first and foremost, the concern is always money. Because anytime that a constituting body, expenses are going to accrue, and basically who's going to pay them. So this shall be done within 2 months from the date of its first sitting. The first sitting shall be done within 10 days from today. That's pretty much the order. So the Supreme Court has said, well, while we may not stifle a peaceful protest, this will encourage the farmer bodies to convince their members to get back to their livelihood. Alright, so they want people to leave the protest side, go back to your livelihood, while the committee discusses with the union leaders and mediates the situation between the government of India and the farmers. Alright, list the matters after 8 weeks. So primarily speaking, whenever the Supreme Court decides, it's basically going to go for 4 issues. They have to basically judge on these 4 issues. That is, Parliament, does it have the legislative competence? Is Article 14 being violated? Is the public's fundamental right being affected, or basically is infringed, thanks to the farmers who are sitting there at the protest site? And is it really lawful, or is it really within the domain of the Supreme Court to get a committee such as that, or rather to form a committee such as this, and which mediates between the farmers and the Union of India? And you can criticize this a lot, that Supreme Court is basically doesn't have any power as such, as express power as such under the Constitution of India to stay the farm laws, because that is primarily speaking the job of the executive. All right. So after this, on the 20th of January, another this restraining order application was filed by the Delhi police. So the court has said, well, why are you coming to us? We won't pretty much get a bad name by asking farmers not to do a tractor parade. If the Delhi police feels that it's not safe, well, you block them out. If it feels that it's safe, well, then you give them permission and you let them conduct the tractor parade on the 26th of January, because that's what they said, that's what the police is there for. And that's pretty much it. So hopefully a peaceful tractor parade takes place on the Outer Ring Road. I believe the police has given already the route maps, the approved route maps, and the permissions have been taken. And let's see what happens now. So this matter will keep on going on. We'll keep on following it. This is basically up till the legal summary of what all has happened till now. Hopefully it has been of help to you. All right. Wishing you all the very best. A happy Republic Day. And hope this situation gets resolved for the betterment of the economy. As it is, China is attacking us, and we have an internal huge turmoil going on. The resources are limited. We need to protect our borders as well. So hopefully the situation, the bottleneck, gets resolved. The farmers get what they want. The Union of India gets what they want, and everyone goes back home happy. But usually, just a giant reform such as this always gets the tempers flaring, and it's never really a very smooth transition into a new era. Now, whether it's beneficial or not, really, I'm not commenting on how the farm laws are going to. I'm not a farmer. I really don't have much practical insight on how it's going to affect, because unless a little thing affects us, really can't. It's useless to comment on it. So I'll keep my comments reserved. This is basically the legal analysis of what all has happened up till now. I'm shooting this on the 25th of January. So whatever keeps on happening in this case, keep on following it on this channel. All right. Wishing you all the very best. Take care. Stay safe. Bye.